welcome back to Mississippi
411.
and we are glad you're here joining us. Today's date is the
19th
of January,
That's
and
right.
we had a short week, but we did
That's
accomplish
right. We've actually adjourned for the week. We're excited because Dan and I, we're going to do this. We got a couple things to wrap up, and then we get to head home and see our families,
Absolutely.
which we just so enjoy when that time comes and we're able to go home for the weekend and enjoy the family. But the inauguration is tomorrow.
So a lot of folks are gone to that.
That's
So
right.
we finished up business this morning. It's Thursday morning, and we thought before we packed up and left town, we would go ahead and shoot our Mississippi 411 for the week. And it was a pretty busy week. I don't know about you, but I had a ton of committee meetings.
Absolutely.
They killed at least 300 or 400 trees. It's a good thing that Mississippi is an ag state and we grow lots of trees because I've got a stack of paper.
Huge. And a lot of bills went into committee. Some of the things that we want to explain a couple of the processes. Some of the bills that you're actually seeing that may still be listed, they may have already gone through committee and didn't have the support they needed to come to the floor. So those maybe have died in committee. The best way to see what's actually coming to the floor for the vote is to go to the Mississippi Legislature page. Dan will put that in.
I'll put that link on there, and you can at any point in time click on that link. It'll take you up and show you what's being covered that day.
Right. Go to the House calendar, the Senate calendar. You can see what's on the calendar for that day. They may or may not get to all the bills for that day, but you can see what's coming up. And that's important because there will be some things come up that hit the floor that will affect your daily life, and you need to know about those things so that you can contact us and let us know how you feel up or down, so that we'll know, because we want to know.
Sometimes, it's good to point out, sometimes we get sideswiped by bills and don't even know they're coming to the floor.
Exactly.
If we have enough heads up, we'll let you know, hey, this is coming down the road. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below or above or wherever. But yeah, for the most part, you can stay up to date with whatever we're doing by just clicking on the calendar links, which we'll provide on the page. I guess we started with legislation on the 17th. I'll take a look at my little cheat sheet here so we can tell you what's up. Basically, there was a bill that came through House Bill 687 that allows the state to basically go after, if you have a delinquency at a junior college or a state college and they have not been able to collect and they've been going after you for a while, it allows them to go after your state income tax refund to settle up that. So they kind of bypass you on that. There was some debate as to whether or not they should have the right to do that, but the assurance was...
The universities can already do it. This was just adding in the junior colleges. And what you need to understand on this one is this is after everything has been done to try and collect this debt. The debtor may be totally unresponsive at this time, and this just gives them an avenue to be able to collect the money that's owed once everything has been done to try to collect that.
Right. Next thing on the agenda that day was House Bill 698. Basically what it did, last year, if you followed what went down in the legislature, as we were cutting budgets left and right, they still came out with a $250 million omnibus bond bill, which proud to say we voted against. And there was a lot of pork in there. There was so much pork in there. Absolutely. I thought I was at Corky's or Dickey's or someplace like that. It smelled.
And understanding these bond bills, this is money that the state borrows. Right. So it's money that the state as a whole ends up having to pay back.
It's the state obligating you and us to pay for it. So this particular bond deal, I know some of them that were in the last years, it was like $100,000 for landscaping for some city and stuff like that. So they were putting, equestrian buildings for $800,000, walking trail for $1 million. Meanwhile, we have a budget shortfall and we're cutting budgets, and so we tend to be fiscally conservative. So it's like, why are we indebting the people of Mississippi that much more and borrowing another $250 million when we're cutting budgets?
Right.
So that's kind of our
So
stance
this
on
was
it.
a cleanup language, just for a couple of municipalities in Mississippi.
Right.
They wanted to clean up a little
Repurpose the
language,
money that was.
repurpose the money that was already passed from last year, but to be consistent, because we voted no on this bill last year, we voted no on this because it wouldn't have made sense for us to have voted no on an omnibus bill, bond bill, and then to vote yes on cleanup language.
Right.
We just were consistent.
Nothing
with
personal
that.
against the cities that
No,
are benefiting from it.
absolutely not.
You know, it was basically the state indebting the residents of the state to give money to a city to build a community center or, you know,
Right.
whatever. So if the local area needs a community center, then it should be a local option to do that, and then they figure out how to raise the money that way.
Right. And I know that there are some lower income areas that do need assistance, and I know that people are on board with helping some of those areas and things. But, you know, all avenues need to be looked at before we indebt this entire state for these projects, and that's just our opinion.
Right. So we're not singling anybody out. We're just being consistent
Right.
with our
Stand.
Moving right along, we had, there was a Mississippi Business Finance Corporation. It was to extend the repealer and the authority to issue bonds to finance economic development projects. Kind of the same thing. I know a lot of the DeSoto delegation voted against it, and several other folks did too. Moving right along, we had an Attorney General bill. This one was House Bill 555. It's like the old, it's like the,
Excuse me.
Little Caesars commercial. 555. Anyways, it basically what it did is it was to put more oversight on the Attorney General. He sues lots of people for the state of Mississippi, and kind of the process that goes, he gets to pick which law firms get to represent the state. So they actually sub it out. They don't actually go and represent the state in a lot of these cases, and those law firms clean up.
Yeah, I voted for this bill. It failed, but I voted for this bill because I think there needs to be a little bit more oversight on the Attorney General's office. We're suing companies from Google to you name it, and joining lawsuits. And it's kind of hard to persuade some companies to come to Mississippi if you're suing them all the time. So I think there needs to be just a little bit more oversight there. Not that the Attorney General is doing a horrible job, but we've got checks and balances across the board, and there needs to be more checks and balances on the Attorney General's office.
So it failed. I don't know if it'll ever come back, but it failed.
We tried.
We got several more to cover. We passed on Wednesday a slew of resolutions, which basically, if Steve wanted to honor the chief there in South Haven.
Right. If I wanted to honor the service of, say, for example, Chief Steve Pirtle of South Haven for the outstanding job that he does every day, or my good friend Lieutenant Gerald Wheeler for the outstanding job that he's done with volunteers there and the committing his life to the betterment of the citizens of South Haven. I could do that through a House concurrent resolution. And we had a ton of those and Senate concurrent resolutions.
3 or 4 pages worth.
That we go through. And we like to do those because we like to.
It's a way of honoring folks that deserve
as a
little
state,
kudos.
We like to commend the people who have dedicated their lives in service or, in community.
So we did that, and then we had a bill go through. It was House Bill 51. It was a municipal ordinance regulating the restriction of parking. Basically what it is, it took the burden off the municipalities to even have to post a no parking area. Now, we had a problem with that because, and so did several other reps, it still passed, but it basically said, you don't have to mark it as no parking. You can paint the curb or whatever, but if somebody isn't quite sure because they don't see a sign that says no parking and they park there, they can still get a ticket.
Right.
So we had a problem with it on that level and decided to vote against it. It passed, so make sure you're parking in a place that you can park going forward.
Be very careful once this goes forward. You know, some municipalities may be a little ticket happy, and you may want to just be careful where you're parking because of this. We voted no on it, but it passed.
Right. So House Bill 246, it passed. It basically, it required travel at a safe and appropriate rate of speed when approaching certain features on a roadway. Like when you go through an intersection, it just cleaned up some language that I guess the lawyers, people were being charged for, well, you didn't slow down fast enough or enough. And so it's a relative.
It just cleans up a little language. It really is not going to do anything drastic. I don't foresee it being anything that is a new avenue for tickets or anything like that.
It might actually save you.
Right, and if it does, we'll readdress it.
That's right. House Bill 528, it just reassessed the tonnage requirements for fertilizer, kind of a boring bill. Let's see here. I think that was it for Wednesday. And on Thursday, today, we basically took up a bunch of bills that came out of public health, which I'm a part of. A lot of compacts, like a nursing compact, physical therapy compact, physician compact, EMT compact. What that is multiple states can form what's called a compact. And right now, if I'm a nurse, I have to be licensed to work in the state of Mississippi to work here as a nurse. But let's say I were to go do relief work in another state because a hurricane or something comes through. Or let's say that I wanted to move to that state, or we have a shortage of doctors and medical professionals here in Mississippi. Let's say they wanted to come work here. To avoid all the licensing and, Steve.
I know, I should be better than that.
He's supposed to turn it on silent.
Well, it's from Akron, Michigan. It can't be imported.
They want to sell you a car.
Yeah.
Anyways, so what it does is it allows a little bit more freedom and flexibility for healthcare professionals to work across state lines, and it's a good thing. It's really regulations that are the same in both states. So to make people jump through those kind of hoops, it's just kind of ridiculous. We had a repealer, which just basically gave the State Department the right to continue on and operate doing the job that they do. We had a couple other collaboratives. It was an infant mortality reduction collaborative, basically, and there was another one for mothers as well that may die in childbirth, a post-acute residential brain injury rehabilitation facility, which redefined, it's not really the certificate of need, but it redefined where you could put one of these so that there could be more of them for people that have brain injuries, that are going through rehab. They wouldn't have to drive across the state to go into a specialized hospital. That hopefully there would be more of those pop up and you could be closer to home.
We really didn't foresee any issues with any of these bills. They were supportive, there was need. It passed out of the committee pretty much unanimous across the board.
So that's pretty much it. We don't want to keep you any longer than we have to, but now you are up to speed with the 411 and what's happened in the Mississippi House for the week of January the 19th, 20th.
20th, yeah.
So God bless you. Have a great week, and we'll catch you back here next week. Hopefully have some video clips to share with you of highlights of the week in, in the House. So.
All right, have a great weekend, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to the Mississippi
011.